stories of Tata Duende evoke a palpable sense of fear among listeners. In the Maya culture, however, this supernatural being, described by many as a gnome, is believed to be a spirit that protects the jungle. In Yucatec Maya, Tata Duende translates to Nukoch Tat. Andy Chuck is a cultural activist from northern Belize.
The word Tata in Maya means grandfather or father, and Duende comes from the contraction of the term dueño de, which in English means owner of. So dueño de transforms to Duende. Now in Yucatec Maya, the Tata Duende is not seen as a terror figure or a horror figure that would take children to the bush and take their thumb. In the Yucatec Maya, they are described as protectors.
Tata Duende was something that we would hear, I would say, on a daily level, coming especially from my grandparents.
Kevin Mendez grew up in San Antonio Village in Orange Walk District. Growing up, he was told numerous stories of Tata Duende. He believes that it truly exists. One way to recognize Tata Duende's presence is through a loud, eerie whistle that the entity makes. Mendez even has a painting of Tata Duende in his home as a reminder of his childhood experiences.
If you are a child that is misbehaving, you would be told that the Tata Duende would come for you. So it's in a sense of saying, hey, you gotta behave as a child, and pay attention to your parents. But also it comes from a sense of saying that the Tata Duende was somebody that's a guardian of the forest, of the animals. I do believe this to be true because, like I told you, like I've heard the whistle. There's also like this particular time where I was working at a rehab center in Orange Walk. And in the space of the rehab center, there was a stable. So in the stable, like most of the nights we would hear, like this uproar of the horses, and like many a times the caretaker would come in the morning and be like, hey, come take a look at this. And when you go and you look at the mane of the horses, like they were like very like had a nicely like done braid, and it really it just sticks out. It's really like extraordinary that you would really think which human will come in the middle of the night and do this to a horse.
Tata Duende is believed to have a liking for horses and braiding their mane. Eleanor Carrillo is a cultural activist and storyteller. She grew up in San Jose Nuevo Palmar, a short distance from where Mendez grew up. She recounted the story of a teenage boy who went into Orange Walk town at night to meet a young lady without his parents' consent. On his way back home while walking through a farm, the horses and cattle became restless, causing him to run in the other direction.
So when he looked around, he looked back in the light that showed in the background over the town, he could actually see this Tata Duende, the sombrero, the features, and against the light of the town. And so he just started running towards the village. And the horses and the cattle started stampeding after him. And he was running and running. He doesn't know how fast he was running, but he was running the fastest he had ever run in his life. But he says he really saw this Tata Duende on top of the horse that was waving his arms like knocking the neck of the horse so that the horse could run faster. And he ran faster and faster, and he did not stop until he reached the door of his house, and he started knocking on it and calling his mom and his dad.
Andy Chuck explains that Tata Duende is primarily a spiritual entity. Most of the elders he has spoken with describe Tata Duende as a spirit to whom rituals are dedicated to gain protection in the forest. But over time, it has taken on human features and is described as a bearded, dwarfed, elderly man with missing thumbs, backward feet, and wearing a tall hat. Aurelia Schuff says he saw Tata Duende while working in Blue Creek Village in Toledo District. As he tells it, one evening he ventured into a dormitory alone to operate the switch for a water pump.
A lot of people say that they don't believe or it's not true, but it is not. You won't believe until you actually experience it or see this or have an encounter. So I went into the all the way to the back. So the thing's like 100 feet long, no? The building and all office, yeah, I mean room this way, room that way, so but just to like the last room, as I make I pull the curtain aside, and when I looked up at the bunk bed, this man is sit down and they swing his foot. Right, so so my goodness, again, like this, see his face. You would have never see his face like how you just see my face. You know, we have a hat down like that, but you could see your foot. Like if you just sit down top of the top bunk on the bed and so swing your leave foot. So my goodness, I did tell you the spirit they hold me, the like what invisible wall, but like what invisible kind of energy they hold me. I had to run, but like I feel like you do it in a slow motion. They come out at a building until I pop out. Then I kind of regain back myself, no? And that Tata Duende.
Lee McLaughlin, the creator of Belize's first animated movie, Tekwani and the Duende, has listened to dozens of Tata Duende stories throughout the years. Those stories are what inspired him to produce the animated movie.
I think that I had no right to disbelieve what people were telling me. If that's their experience, and that they tell me that's what they saw, I have no right to say that that's not what they saw. I would feel very lucky to be able to tell one of these stories, although some of them did seem pretty scary. Like you could see by the way the emotion in people's voices, they're telling the story, that it's something that affected them on a deep kind of emotional level. A friend of mine, she saw Tata Duende in the next person's yard on the back of a horse. And as he turned round, she just like froze, completely froze. And this is one of the most vivid memories of her childhood.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.